The zoning commission requires a quorum of 6 members to be present and available for voting. Members of the zoning commission may be attending remotely in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The following members are present today: Chairperson Rankin, Commissioner Welch, Commissioner McCoy, Commissioner McDonald, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Raines, Commissioner Hoblet, Commissioner Werman, and Commissioner Romero. Staff present today are Brett Mangum, Tom Simmerly, Alex Johnson, Laura Ruiz, Lynn Goforth, LaShondra Stringfellow, and Tracy Edwards. Mr. Chair, will you please call the meeting to order?
Welcome everyone to today's zoning commission meeting. I'll call the meeting to order.
Welcome to the March 13th, 2024 Zoning Commission meeting public hearing. Today's meeting agenda can be found online at www.fortworthtexas.gov. Speaker registration forms must have been turned in prior to the start of the meeting. Today's public hearing is being documented by YouTube and will be available on other things later on. Cases heard at this public hearing are to be heard at the April 9th City Council hearing unless otherwise stated on the agenda. To achieve a timely and orderly meeting, the Zoning Commission requires that the following rules and procedures be respected. All participants will be muted when not speaking in order to avoid any potential background noise. Each case will be called in the sequence listed on the agenda unless otherwise directed by the chair. All ensuing dialogue shall be directed to the Zoning Commission only. After the staff presentation, the applicant in support will be given a maximum total of 5 minutes to present their case. Opposition may then speak for a maximum total of 7 minutes. At the conclusion of opposition, the applicant will be provided 2 minutes for rebuttal. Those that are not able to speak today are encouraged to submit comments or sign up to speak at City Council. Sign-ups to comment or speak at City Council begin the Friday before the scheduled council hearing. Continuation beyond the speaker's allotted time will be subject to the chairman's sole discretion and approval. When speaking, remember to look directly at the webcam, not at the screen. All other meeting procedures will adhere to the board-adopted rules or procedures to the extent possible. Following the official close of each case hearing, the commission will remain in open session to discuss and vote upon the item in question. During the time, no further public testimony or commentary will be allowed unless directed by the chair. A closed executive session may be held with respect to the posted agenda items to enable the commission to receive advice from legal staff. Today's hearing will adjourn at 5 p.m. Any cases not heard today will be continued to the April 10th, 2024 hearing. For additional information on any case on today's agenda, you may contact the Development Services Department by contacting 817-392-8028. Thank you. Mr. Chair, the first order of business is the adoption of the previous month's minutes.
Would someone like to make the motion to adopt the previous month's minutes?
I move approval.
I'll make the motion to adopt the minutes.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner McDonald with a second.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 9-0, the Zoning Commission votes to approve the meeting minutes. First case, ZC 23-186, the address is 4408 and 4412 Southwest Boulevard. The applicant is Stiller Southwest Partners, Ray Ojeski, Kelly Hart, and Hallman. The request is from PD 678 and IP Industrial Park and ASJ RB Overlay to PDFR Plan Development General Commercial Restricted, plus auto repair, paint and body shop adjoining a residential district boundary and limited to the following auto-related uses: auto detailing, auto windshield repair, auto minor dent repair, auto wrap installation, auto ceramic coats and hail repair, no auto painting, auto upholstery, auto tinting, assaying, carpet and rug cleaning, manufacturing of artificial flowers, ornaments, awnings, tents, bags, blacking, cleaning or polishing preparations, brooms or brushes, buttons and novelties, canvas products, clothing, suits, coats, or dresses for wholesale trade, machine shops, furniture, cabinet repair and construction, monument works, stone, warehouse or bulk storage, pattern shop, printing, lithography, bookbinding, newspapers or publishing, rubber stamping, rubber stamp manufacture, vehicle steam, cleaning, and ASJ RB overlay state plan waiver requested.
Bravo. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good afternoon. For this case, the down zone that is proposed here from industrial base uses to commercial base uses, I would like to go over the list with you of what will and won't happen on the property. First of all, at the very, very top of the list, we've got a list of uses that are currently allowed on the property under the current zoning that will be excluded under the proposed zoning: bottle works, data center, electroplaning, box paper manufacturing, assembly of pre-manufactured parts. The next list are current uses that are currently allowed at the property that would be added under the PDFR zoning. You can see that we've got some red strike-throughs there. Those are uses that we have eliminated as going forward uses in an attempt to compromise with the neighborhood over uses that would be allowed here on the property. The remaining uses that you see are currently ongoing on the property right now in some form or fashion and have been ongoing for years. Finally, the final list at the very bottom, the limited auto-related uses that are being proposed to be added. Again, these are not your high-intensity repair and body shop type uses that once occurred on this property were eliminated from the property under the current zoning for reasons that the neighborhood wanted. We believe these uses don't fit into that category. We believe these uses are compatible with surrounding uses simply because they're all inside a building. They are cosmetic in nature. They do not involve any type of high-leveraged repair or body work. And for that reason, again, we believe we're compatible with surrounding uses. We think these uses are also consistent with future land uses in that the primary objection to the future land uses is that they are high-leveraged repair type uses that are meant to not be adjacent to a residential district. And again, we don't think these fit into that category. Plus, the uses that are currently ongoing right now have been there for years and are currently have been ongoing on the property. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
So I see that you addressed a few more, removed a few more uses from this particular case. I know some of our letters of opposition has solely been on items that you were talking about earlier: paint and body, high-intensity use. Can you let me know how many conversations you had with the community between last time and today to kind of come to these concessions?
I do know, Chairman, that the property owner has dealt directly with the Ridgely Hills Neighborhood Association. I believe the conversations have primarily been with Krista Roberts. Those dialogues have gone on directly with the property owner, though, and the neighborhood. I've not been involved in those conversations, but I have seen emails and exchanges that have gone back and forth between the neighborhood. So I know there's been at least one forwarding of the list that you see in front of you here today to the neighborhood to give them an opportunity to review what's being proposed.
Okay, I see we have two other speakers registered on this case. Would you like to hear the opposition first? All right, we'll hear from the opposition.
Our first speaker is Lisa Riker joining online.
Hello, I'm the secretary of the Ridgely Hills Edition Neighborhood Association, and I would just like to directly rebut what the previous speaker said. The list that he presented with the red strike-throughs and the additional items removed, this is the first time we're seeing that list. And we have not heard directly from the property owner. Krista has received some letters from property owner's legal counsel, but that is all. So just to get back to my planned comments, Rana is an all-volunteer organization, and I am here again to speak in opposition to the proposed rezoning for the third time. The Neighborhood Association unanimously decided, after reviewing the specific proposed auto repair uses that are mentioned at the bottom, to speak out again after our neighborhood meeting on March 2nd. To reiterate our position, we find that it will be highly likely that allowing any additional auto repair uses on this site will inevitably lead to noise pollution, exposure to fumes, crime and safety issues, even all of which residents have experienced in the past. And they're here to speak about that personally. But we think that this will lead to lower property values and, more importantly, lower quality of life for our neighbors. We have, as of yet, to see any proactive effort on the part of the landowners, with the exception of those few emails and calls that were mentioned from the legal counsel, and can only conclude at this time that they would put forth the same amount of effort managing their tenants moving forward. A few residents, So on behalf of the residents that are going to be speaking, I would also like to mention that the burden is going to fall on the residents to monitor and put in complaints about code violations. And this has been an ongoing issue in our neighborhood. We have a resident who's a renter who's been running auto repair out of his home, which is unfortunately located right across the street from the two residents that will be speaking today. We have had at least 4 years of continued efforts on the part of the volunteers to get this gentleman to stop his auto repair operation out of his home. The city has escalated this to legal action, but this has not stopped his activities. We anticipate the same situation to occur at the rezoning site. And instead of waiting for the inevitable to happen, we again ask the commission to protect our residential neighborhood from encroachment by incompatible commercial uses, to nip the problem in the bud and deny the zoning request. We want to thank the zoning commission for their past efforts and foresight by including section 5.104C in the zoning ordinance, which states auto repair land use is prohibited in places adjacent to residential zoned properties. So it might have been happening in the past, it might continue to happen in the future, but it will put an undue burden on our residents, and we will continue to complain about it. We just don't think we should have to, and we ask that you stand in support of our request. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Is there another speaker in opposition for this case?
The next speaker is Diana Adamek.
Is Diana online or in person?
It doesn't indicate, I don't see her online.
I believe she was going to call in.
If you're a call-in user, can you please announce if you are here for this particular case?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're with the zoning commission?
Yes, this is Diana Adamek. I live at 7108 Overhill Road, and I am approximately 300 feet from the units in question. And I did want to make one little correction from Lisa. The auto neighbor that uses his house for auto, he's not directly across from me. He's up a few houses, but he does cause a lot of havoc in the neighborhood. Simply put, I just oppose any use of the property that's involved with cars. Cars produce noise pollution. There's compressors, there's air tools, there's loud music. You get more cars, you get noisy people, you have air pollution from fumes, from whatever chemicals they may use, from whatever's going to go on with the detailing, the ceramic coatings, whatever. And this can occur at any time of the day. It's not going to be restricted from a 9 to 5. I've complained about this before. So imagine noise coming from the back of your council chambers to where you sit right now. And then imagine that coming from my patio to the units. That's how close we are. So now imagine you're sitting on your patio in the morning and the compressor kicks on from some unit of their use, whether it's power washing or whatever, you won't be able to hear the person that's sitting next to you. And so you may think I'm exaggerating, but this has happened before, and I'm speaking from experience. And I've been told that the city, in code compliance, they may maintain a tight control, but we know what that means. That just means that the neighbors will monitor and have to deal with it and report it until it's taken care of. And that's not what I'm here for. So I'm looking at the development impact analysis, and it says the proposed rezoning to PD-FR planned development general commercial restricted is not compatible with surrounding land uses. And even your staff recommendation says denied. So to me, the most compatible use of the property would be to tear down the buildings, plant trees, create a green space, and tie it into the Bomber Spur Trail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Staff, is there any more speakers in opposition?
There are no additional registered speakers.
All right. Commissioner Welch, would you like to hear from? Okay. Please provide your information for staff to put you on record.
I'm Brian Henderson, 7104 Overhill. This is the third time I've come down here in opposition. There's nothing that can be done in a compromise in my perspective. Everything the neighborhood association said, I'm completely on board with. My neighbor that just spoke is my direct neighbor next door. So what's going on back there, we should spend some money and time on fixing first. And if we could tear it down and put a basketball court back there, tennis court, maybe a doctor's office or a chiropractor's office or a gym or an outdoor gym, something to tie in with what the zoning plans are for the trail, sounds like a much better idea. In the last month, 8 p.m., there's some beer drinking. It smells like skunk coming over the fence from back there, whatever that may be. Last night at 2 a.m., somebody was revving their engine so bad, I got up and stood up over the fence and watched somebody go car door to car door just to check and see which car doors were unlocked. So it can only get worse through bringing more cars and traffic into that space. The least they could do is fence it off and put a code. That way they know who's entering at what time when they're entering and leaving. But this is an opportunity to make it better, not worse. So I didn't come very well prepared today, but I sent a lot of pictures of the backwoods wrappers and beer bottles, beer cans, all the different things that's thrown over my fence just in the last couple months. I don't have everything that I've cleaned up back there for the last 30 years, but I'm just here in opposition to it. I think we can make it better and not worse. I didn't get an email on all this. I think we are moving in the right direction. It's sounding better, but I don't think there's anything you can do back there to cause more traffic that can make it better for me. So I'm in opposition of anything going back there, and I don't see a compromise.
All right. Commissioner Welch, would you like to hear the opposition or have any questions for any of the speakers in opposition? And I'll wait till the rebuttal.
I do. I just am curious. How long has the property been vacant? Do you know?
It's not vacant. There is a burger box in front of the new property owners. I don't know if they own the land that Burger Box is on. There's a gas station on the corner. This is the first thing you see as you come into the west side. So this directly affects my property because I'm within 300 feet and I could hit everybody back there with a football. I'm so close to everything back there. I could hit the Burger Box with a football. I could hit the gas station. I could hit these storage units. In front of the storage units is the fire department. So I love the fire department being there. It would be great for them to have a space to work out on their own facility. There's something that we could tie in everything there with something better than manufacturing plastics.
So all those cars that you're referring to that are parked back there, do they belong to the Burger Box or the gas station, or is there another like auto type business there?
There is auto businesses going on back there, like he said. There's classic cars being worked on. There's tent being done already. There's someone that's advertising their business services. Before I came here right now, I went back there and drove around trying to see what I could see going on, just so I'd have something to discuss. And it was kind of a quiet day today.
Can we pull
But
up
last
the
night
aerial?
was not quiet at 2 a.m. Someone with a catalytic converter that was cut off was revving their engine while rummaging through people's cars at 2 a.m. So anything
Now
to
the-
make it
the
better
satellite.
sounds good to me, but I haven't heard it yet.
The satellite aerial, please.
So this is the satellite aerial that we have up. Commissioner Welch, you have any questions?
Yes, the area in yellow, the property that we're actually making a decision on today. I know you're talking about cars and beer bottles and things like that. Is the Burger Barn the one with the red roof?
The red roof is a car wash,
Okay.
and it could use some updating.
Where is-
but it has regular cars there washing their cars.
Okay,
And
but
it
I mean,
doesn't
we're not speaking
cause-
to that property today. We're speaking to the yellow.
That property, there's some loud music on while people are washing their cars, but that's been going on since I was a kid at this property. It's a little bit further away than the storage units that are directly behind my property. So I don't really have a problem with the car wash. It's not excessively loud, and it's not loud at 2 a.m. like the storage units are. The storage units bring thieves to come in the night to see what's in there. And there's nice cars back there. So it attracts people to stop by and, I guess, do a door check and see who left their doors unlocked. And that's what happened last night at 2 a.m.
Thank you.
Wish I could throw a camera back there. There's only one camera back there. That's what I was looking for when I went back there today, was how many cameras saw the window shopper last night.
Thank you. Commissioner Welch, you have any more questions? All right, at this time, we'll let the applicant give a rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it was the legal counsel for the property owner that spoke with the Krista Roberts of the neighborhood, then I stand corrected. Legal counsel often handles those conversations. Also, the list of uses that you see here today is actually better than the one they saw, because we've actually removed uses that we were going to make on that list. So it's actually better than the one they may have seen previously. Again, I would just emphasize here that when you're downzoning a piece of property from industrial, you're taking away industrial uses and going down to a commercial district that has these limited types of commercial uses. I think that is a benefit. I think that is a benefit for the neighborhood to not see the intensity of industrial uses that would have been there previously. We can all surmise and we can all talk about what might happen. The bottom line is, these are the uses that are proposed. They're not repair, they're not auto mechanics. You can't get your brake fixed, you can't get your engine repaired, you can't get your fenders fixed when you have a wreck. These types of uses are much less intensive than that. And I would argue again that what might happen because something happened before is just not a valid argument to make here. So with that, I'll conclude my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Welch, do you have any questions?
Yes, just to, of Mr. Olszewski, just to kind of address a couple things that the various residents in the neighborhood association brought up. I guess the perimeter access, I think they said that it's easy in, easy out, wide open or something along those lines. Will there be proposed fencing and some kind of control to the property, I guess if there's vagrants and things?
Absolutely. If there is any barriers, fencing around the property right now that is unsecured, obviously make that part of the zoning, that any of that fencing, any of those barriers that are around this property must be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. We are happy to do that.
Okay. And will all of the proposed auto body detailing and things be done inside a building, or will they be outside?
They will all be done inside a building. So there
Okay.
will be no impact to anyone outside the exterior of that building in which they occur.
And what would be the hours of operation?
You know, the hours of operation, I will tell you, I think we're going to be normal business operating hours. I've not been told that any of this would go on after, you know, a reasonable hour in the evening, whether that be 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We can certainly put parameters on that if you need to make the neighborhood feel comfortable that these won't go on 24 hours a day. We're very comfortable adding any timeframes that you feel are appropriate for these type of uses.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had a question, kind of, I know there's a lot of uses here that you're adding. I know you're removing some. Is the main intent to do auto repair, white auto repair? I'm just curious why there's so many other items that don't have anything to do with that.
I will tell you, they are trying to accommodate tenants that are currently operating on the property right now. And Commissioner, that's what I asked them for. I asked them to give me the uses that you need to keep for now under the current zoning, because there are tenants doing that now. So the light industrial uses that you saw on that list are primarily to allow those tenants to continue to do what they're doing. At the end of the day, the limited auto uses are really the intent of the zoning here today, is to allow those uses and to call out some of the other light industrial uses.
So are those other uses, are they going to go away? I'm assuming when the new tenant comes in, all those other uses and tenants will leave?
There is I would say that the intent is for either a future tenant or a future property owner to be primarily engaged in the uses that we're adding and not be so focused in the uses that have been going on before. I think that's a good possibility. I can't say for sure, but they do have a tenant or a potential property owner that would come in and do these auto uses. So that's the reason we're here today.
So there's no tenant right now?
Doing these type of uses, no.
Is there someone planned, presumably?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
I have one more question. So with these proposed uses of detailing, chip repair, et cetera, there's really no hazardous waste or anything like that that would come with oil changes and painting and things?
There's no hazardous waste that's generated by these type of uses. When you do this type of cosmetic work to a vehicle, essentially you're touching the vehicle. You're not generating, well, I guess if you're detailing, you're having some runoff from water that might be detailed. But at the end of the day, most of this is going to involve material that's put directly on the vehicle that doesn't ever leave the vehicle. It stays right there on the vehicle. It's not something that emits, out of a vent, out of the roof. You just, these type of uses don't lend to that type of exposure, to anything outside.
This is directly behind a car wash, correct? So
Commissioner,
that
I'm not
activity's
sure.
already going on.
I
think that's what the gentleman that,
I think, I can't,
it's a red roof, yeah.
I can't.
Yes, this is right behind the car wash.
Okay, thank you.
You have a question? Commissioner Welch, do you have any questions for Ray or the opposition?
I think I'm good right now.
Would you like me to close out the speakers, or any other commissioners have a question?
I would like to discuss it amongst.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ray. Would you like to discuss?
Yes, please. I welcome any thoughts, input.
All right, any opinions on this case? I personally believe this one's a little difficult, just from the staff recommendation of non-consistent, non-compatible. But there are a lot of current business uses that have been at this location, that has always been at this location, and what it's been used for. The neighborhood is trying to protect from these type of uses because they don't want these type of uses this close to their neighborhood. And general rules for zoning do not allow these type of uses in the neighborhood. It's just unfortunate that these uses already existed. It's already zoned as a PD 678. industrial park. So this is a long-going issue that's in this neighborhood. And for the property owner wanting to be able to continue to make revenue from this property, or at least to sell it and not have to move out all of the current tenants, as we're looking at from the property owner's perspective. So I see it from two different perspectives. From the residential, they don't want this type of things in their neighborhood, and zoning agrees that these type of uses shouldn't be in their neighborhood. From a business owner perspective, they've been operating like this for a very long time, and the tenants inside have been operating like this for a very long time. And they could do some better work at cleaning up some of the 2 a.m. usage and putting a fence and putting controlled environment to be a better neighbor, and maybe the neighborhood wouldn't be in such opposition. But who knows what might happen if they go to a different owner. So I just gave two different perspectives. I'll let y'all give your opinion on which way y'all want to go.
Stephen, are any of these uses prohibited under the current zoning with the PD and the industrial park?
The IP is kind of a different zoning district. So what he is doing is adding a few different uses. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the IP wouldn't allow some of these uses. So.
But we're removing some as well, correct?
Yeah, they're removing the assaying, the monument works, the pattern shop, rubber stamping.
What's, I guess, so confusing and frustrating about this one is that a lot of these uses aren't currently allowed, but they're currently happening, it sounds like. And then now it's trying to restrict some of those. It's almost sounding like we're adding to it, yet they're already happening.
No, I thought it was, we're keeping some of the existing uses and then taking some out and adding the auto-related ones, but it's not really I don't think, no one's doing anything outside of the zoning currently on the property, are they? Am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, the current zoning is like IP, and
Right.
so they're operating kind of as they're supposed to be.
Okay, yeah.
But in this situation, he wants to downzone to FR, but include industrial uses.
So we're actually
And
down.
the reason why automotive is not allowed by right in this situation is because it adjoins a residential district.
In the back.
So in this situation, he wants to add these automotive-related uses.
Yeah,
And
didn't we hear the speaker talk about like classic car repair business there currently?
Yeah.
I mean, if so, then they're operating illegally. And I think, again, that's what's so frustrating, I think, to the neighbors is this stuff's already happening.
I thought that was across the street at the people that they've been for 4 years working with code compliance on. That's not on this property.
This
It's
was
across the
directly
street
across
two
from
other
the
residents.
last gentleman or behind his property. And it sounded like the lady that spoke as well, which seemed to be their frustration.
Right, that's a house, I believe, across the street that they're doing auto repair in illegally.
And also behind them. The other thing they talked about, while that's awful, and I hate that for them, that has nothing to do with our case, but this property that's directly behind them, that's what they were talking about, the classic car repair happening in this property that we're talking about today.
So this big square building towards the apex of the triangle is the classic car repair.
So I think what I heard at least was, hey, this is already happening. This isn't zoned for that. Y'all aren't doing anything about it. Now you're going to start allowing all this other stuff. And so they're going to be able to do it by right. And they're just kind of tired of it. And they're just like, hey, like, stop allowing all this stuff. We don't want it in our neighborhood.
It looks like they came to a lot of concessions. I think this is probably more of a decision to city council. From a zoning perspective, we've heard from the neighborhood, we heard from the staff about what belongs in this particular spot for the location. But if city council sees it another way, then they can make that decision. I do think this is an accommodation for different type of tenants that they want to utilize the space. And that's why so many negotiations are going on between the neighborhood and the owner.
I just wish that this was clear. This is very convoluted, and I didn't think it needed to be.
Yep.
My thoughts exactly. It's as clear as mud.
So I'm not sure if that helps you, Commissioner Welch, or,
I'm going to make a motion.
all right.
Throw it out there. Okay, so In the case of ZC 23-186, I'm actually going to move for approval from the standpoint of just letting council look at this, and I know they get into the details of what's going on here. My understanding is that the repair shop that's going on is actually in a house across the street from the two residents that spoke today, not on the property in question. So with that, I move for approval and let it go to council.
For the recommendation of approval, we have to exclude certain uses in our, can you go back to the PowerPoint, or not the PowerPoint, but the screen where he removed uses? And you'll need to include the saying.
Okay, so I move for approval with the exclusion of the following uses: saying Monument Works, Stone, Pattern Shop, and rubber stamp manufacturing.
Thank you.
There's a recommendation with approval. Is there a second? There is currently no second for this motion. Would someone would like to make a new motion?
Yeah, for ZC 23-186, I move for denial.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion for denial from Commissioner Werman with a second from Commissioner Rains. Move to a vote.
All right, Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
And
I'm on the call.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
The vote of 6-4, the zoning commission votes to deny this case.
Thank you for your time.
Next case, ZC 23-187, the address is 7950 Calmont. The applicant is Kyle Polson. Requested from E-Neighborhood Commercial to PDE, plan development for all uses in E-Neighborhood Commercial plus warehouse with development standard site plan included.
Speaker here to speak on this case. How you doing?
Hello, my name's Kyle Polson. I'm the owner of the property, and we continued this a couple months ago. We've talked with Barry at Dunaway, who runs one of the neighborhood associations. We cleared up 3 issues. Y'all don't have the latest site plan. His big concerns were landscaping along Calmont, and then signage so any traffic would go back to the east. They don't want traffic going back towards the apartments back to the west. So we've addressed that with our architects, and I'm 99% sure Barry and the Western Hills neighborhood are supporting this. We've talked to the other neighborhood associations, and we don't see any opposition.
Commissioner Welch, do you have any questions for this applicant? Thank you for your time today. Commissioner Welch, would you like to make a motion? There's no additional speakers. Is that correct, staff?
That's correct.
Other commissioners, did you have a question for that speaker?
Yes, sir. This request includes a site plan on the docket. So can we approve a site plan if we don't have a site plan?
We can approve, but he needs to send us the updated site plan with what he had mentioned with the neighborhoods.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure how we would, just signage on Calmont directing traffic. So do you just want to, we'll add that? I didn't know. The landscape's easy. He really wants landscaping on the, kind of on the corners at Calmont, right where that blue dot is, truck right turns. So do we just add that signs?
And you should just put a note on your site plan stating that it'll only be one direction that you're exiting. Just put a note on there.
So it's, if any trucks is what they asked to go back to Cherry Lane. Obviously pedestrian trucks and cars could go back.
I mean, whatever y'all agree to,
Just put it on the site plan.
notes. Yeah.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Should I include it in the motion? Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? All right, Commissioner Welch, is your motion?
In the case of ZC 23-187, I move for approval and with the inclusion on the site plan for signage on Calmont to direct traffic and commercial vehicles, and then the addition of the landscape that was discussed with the neighborhood.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Welch with a second from Commissioner Rains. Move to a vote.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Commissioner Leggett.
Oh, okay,
You're on
she's
mute.
muted, yep. But I saw that she said aye. Yeah. Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote? And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case with those two stipulations. The next case, SP 24001. The address is 2701 Mooresby. The applicant is YMCA of Metropolitan Fort Worth. The request is to amend the existing site plan for PD 915A, PDE plan development for e-neighbor commercial with development standards to add a covered court.
Hi there, my name is Molly DePuma, and I am the applicant on behalf of the owner, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Leggett, this is the YMCA development, I believe, in District 8. They're looking to put covers above on their basketball courts. Do you have any questions?
Yes. No, I do not have any questions, and we need to protect our kids from the heat, so I'm all for it.
All right. Are there any other speakers on this case, staff?
No additional speakers.
All right. Commissioner Leggett, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve, and I hope I got this number. Can you put the flash the number back up again for me, please? I think it's SP 24001.
Correct.
Second.
So we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Leggett with a second from Commissioner McDonald.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, CC 23-196. The address is 850 West Vernon Crowley Road. The applicant is Scott Martsoff. The request is from e-neighbor commercial to FR general commercial restricted.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Martsoff. I'm here on behalf of Cross Development, the developer for the property. We are here to represent Sun Auto, the proposed tenant. Today, as mentioned previously, we're here to request a rezone from neighborhood commercial to general commercial restricted. Our proposed tenant, Sun Auto, is a premier provider of automotive service or automotive repair and maintenance services. They operate 26 locations across Dallas-Fort Worth area currently, with some more in the works. We also have others across the country. We believe they'd be a really good fit for the community. They're very focused on being a community-oriented business. They're focused on being a good corporate citizen. Overall, we feel like this really fits well with the surrounding development in the area. One of the things that was mentioned was the additional development standards that apply to the property. In addition to the commercial restricted standards, we are aware of the supplemental standards that are required with the automotive use. We're aware of those, and we are more than willing to abide by those, the screening and the other items that apply to a property when it has an automotive use. So with that, I'd like to, again, appreciate the consideration and open it up to any questions that anybody has.
I only see one other speaker, and that's if there's any questions pertaining to that speaker.
Yes, correct. That is accurate.
All right. Does Commissioner Leggett or any other commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question. Well, I want to wait till I think after the speakers speak, though, if that's okay. If anybody else has it.
There's no additional speakers.
There's no additional?
No.
Okay. Okay, I have the wrong paper. Okay, so my question is, did you, to the applicant, I'm so sorry I didn't hear your name. Were you able to have outreach or talk to some of the neighboring residents since the client is a good corporate citizen? Were they able to talk to folks?
I was. Reached out to the two HOAs in the area. Wasn't able to connect with them too, but I also visited the residents, in close proximity to this property, all within 300 feet at least. Visited all those residents and went over the project with them. They did not have any concerns that were presented. And yeah, so yes, to answer your question.
So you reached out to the HOA, but the HOA's presidents didn't respond?
That's right. I reached out to Coventry HOA and the District 6 Alliance multiple times and have not unfortunately heard back.
Well, here's where it got tricky because I'm in Coventry and I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I reached
And
out
so I'm not too sure what happened.
Yeah, I reached out to Dolores Murray multiple times. That's who's on the list for provided to me for the contact.
Oh, okay. And this might be a question for Stephen. Stephen, I got the notice from, obviously being a zoning commissioner, but I know my neighbors were not aware. A lot of my neighbors weren't aware. What, do y'all have a list of who was contacted or anything like that as far as the original outreaches? I know we were the old District 6, right? That causes a lot of confusion. Like the District 6 Alliance, again, we're part of District 8 now, so I don't know if that caused maybe a little bit of a hiccup in the communication.
No, I don't think so. We are only good as the input that we're provided. So,
Okay.
like if, for example, if Coventry HOA, the person changed who should have been notified, we're not responsible for that list.
Gotcha.
They need to be reaching out to our neighborhood services department. So, like, we're only pulling from a list that's not supervised by us. So we're sending it to whoever is on that list.
Is on that list. Okay,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got you. Okay, I got you. That makes sense to me. And I have to be just completely honest. The neighborhood is not aware, and that is on 1187, which is close by. And it does fit the use, but we've had some things sneak in that we weren't aware of for whatever reason. And we're not a part of District 6, so that concerns me. I'm not comfortable with knowing that our HOA president was not notified. I don't feel comfortable with that. In the sense of like, for whatever the reason is. This is a hard one.
Are you looking for a continuance, or you're asking for him to reach out and to your HOA between now and city council?
You know what? I tell you what, we can do that. If you could reach out between now and city council.
Absolutely.
Or we've just had some conversation out here. This is let's go back a little bit. So the use is going to be for auto repair, correct?
Yep, maintenance and repair. It's, quick loop, same day service for auto maintenance and repair.
Yeah, we have something like that closer into Crowley, Old Crowley. So we have quite a few of those uses already. And my better judgment in this is to respectfully ask, is it okay if we continue and we get you with the right folks? Because I'm telling you, I don't think this is going to bode well if we don't let them know, or someone knows for sure, because it'll create a more of a firestorm than we could have imagined.
When is the next council meeting? That this would be, where?
April 9th is a council meeting.
There's plenty of time for them to get with the neighborhood in between now and council without an extension, which would essentially push it off to almost 60 days with a 30-day extension.
I appreciate your feedback. The question though for me is that the HOAs, the two major HOAs, don't know, and if they're in opposition, they will only have one opportunity at that point to push back. And this is vacation and breaks and all of that good stuff. So I'm just trying to figure out what I would recommend, and I would tell you as a resident, I'm not in support of this development.
Is there any way you can speak to the zoning commission for next zoning commission after you speak to the community, or are you on a timeline for this development?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're on a tight timeline. Yeah, contractually with the seller of the property, as well as with the tenant, as you can imagine.
Okay. Commissioner Leggett, were you able to hear him? That he's under
Yeah.
contract, that he needs to take it to city council. So-
Okay, well, I tell you what, I will go ahead and go with a denial, or I'm sorry, an approval to go forward, but with the case that you talked to the neighboring residents, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, I'm ready to go when y'all are.
Is Ms. Murray not the contact for that neighborhood association? Should I get with you on getting the correct contact?
Yes, sir. I thought it was her too, but then we had an election. So I am going to help you with that, Stephen.
Okay.
Immediately today, because that something might have come up. I'm going to reserve my commentary, but I will get that. I'll get with
All right, Commissioner Leggett, would you like to make a motion?
absolutely. I'll make a motion to approve Z3 23196.
A second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Leggett with a second from Commissioner Welch.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, ZC 23-205. The address is 7736 Blue Mountain Road. The applicant is Live Respira Ltd. The request is from PD 738, PDSU for Tree Farm, and A51 Family to PDE Neighborhood Commercial. Okay.
And I'm recusing myself on this case.
Well, good afternoon, Commission members. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Daniel Eggert. I'm with Live Respira, the applicant. And for the sake of orientation, just to, I guess, get the conversation started, this property is located on Blue Mountain Road, just to the west of North Freeway and just to the north of the Northeast Loop. Our specific ask this afternoon is to rezone Lot 4 specifically, outlined in the red, to E Neighborhood Commercial in total. And so that's the fullness of our request. First, a little bit on Live Respira. We are a developer and wellness hospitality operator with a focus on creating wellness spas that enable people to experience healthier and more joyful lives. That's who we are. And I'm going through these slides fairly quick because there's lots of content with the hope that it's in your package, and if you need to circle back to it, you can. Our vision specifically for Blue Springs is to develop a wellness spa that creates a suburban oasis that incorporates hydrotherapy, thermal wellness, personal treatments like massage and body scrubs, together with food and beverage as a limited auxiliary retail use. Every location we develop has a local impact plan based on our 4 pillars, as outlined further in the deck, relating to environmental stewardship, natural resource protection, community engagement, wellness, and social impact. Zooming out to the overall plan, the area outlined in red, again, is the area we're requesting this specific rezoning to E. The area outlined in blue is the floodplain, which is almost half of our entire property. The floodplain is one of the main reasons we're interested in this property. We love being next to water and trees, given our quest to create a place of tranquility where guests can relax in and around nature. And so that is probably the reason why this site hasn't developed over the last number of years. And it's also the reason that we like the site. So it's a unique parcel and we're a unique user. If you zoom in a little bit to the same plan, for the sake of transportation, our intentions are to bring our guests off of Blue Mound Road into the site via a private driveway. Furthermore, we'll work with the applicable neighboring property owners and TPW to provide a secondary emergency access to the site as needed. In a more detailed view, our plan is currently, and this is a conceptual plan, a detailed plan would come through site plan if we get approval in the zoning process. But this is the concept of what we're hoping to achieve. It's about 50,000 square feet of buildings with a robust landscape to the east that's adjacent future residential neighbors. Currently, those neighbors don't exist. It's currently in the early stages of development. And then the balance of the site would be a variety of hydrotherapy and thermal wellness programming. I've used the words hydrotherapy and thermal wellness a couple times. What is that? Maybe some people will ask. And so this image gives a snapshot of what some of it is. It's a variety of hot and cold pools, saunas and steam rooms and things of that nature. We've also got a little snow machine in the bottom left corner, which might come in handy in summer in Fort Worth. The following 2 pages are images meant to illustrate what to expect in the outdoor programming in our facility. Genuinely, our view is that we are seeking to add amenity value to the community with the differentiated use that also adds the vitality. This gives you a flavor for the type of things that you can expect outside in our facilities. Our typical operating hours are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. One of the items we think about quite a bit is lighting and sound. For lighting, where required, we would use downward-facing lights, shielding, warm lights, low fixtures, and utilize automated and adaptive controls to create sort of ambience that we hope to achieve, but also to minimize light pollution for neighboring residents. We typically, as an amenity to our guests, provide 3 different food and beverage offerings, including a cafe, a grab-and-go, and a bistro that would be serviced for our guests. One of the reasons we're asking for the E-zoning is principally because our use is permitted by right. We did explore the zoning districts of F, G, and also ER, and in all cases, either they were inappropriate for the scale or the neighboring residents, or in the case of ER, we weren't permitted by right. And so,
Final statement.
pardon me, sorry?
Final statement.
Final statement. Great. I'll just highlight, we consulted with a lot of the neighbors. What we heard is here, how we've acted is here, and I'll finish with that. So thank you very much, Commissioners.
Staff, I see that there are 2 more speakers in favor and no speakers in opposition.
That is correct.
Would you like to hear from the other speakers
Yeah,
in
let's
favor?
hear from the other speakers first.
All right. We have a Daniel Eggert. Oh, sorry. The first speaker was Trenton Robertson. And due to the limited time, we'll make your statements brief.
I love being brief. Trenton Robertson, 2201 South Main Street. We started this process with community engagement back in early September, reaching out to the neighborhoods, reaching out to parties. We did receive a letter, and this is the outline showing who we've contacted, who we've reached out to. We reached out to Macy Hill about this project back in September. We've reached out to various neighborhood associations. We received a recommendation of approval from the West Fork Ranch supportive letter. The neighboring property, Fossil Creek Landscaping, that's directly abutting our property, did send in an email to us supporting the project. We have forwarded that on to staff. What they basically say in the email, I was going to read it, but it's kind of long, saying we would love this. We don't want any more residential. This is perfect for this area. Doing quite a few projects in Fort Worth, we've been asked time and time again, specifically in this area, that we don't want any more residential. And this is exactly what we're bringing you. We're bringing you a low-impact, non-residential use. This will have a positive impact on the surrounding area. Generally, every time we talk to the school district, some of these neighborhood associations, they all seem pretty receptive and open to this idea. One of the greatest things about this spot is they want to be located within near the floodplain. No other development I've worked with wants to be around floodplains. They use that as towards an amenity. They don't want to disrupt it. They want to keep as much of it as possible for a benefit, and that's going to benefit the neighborhood. It's going to keep it nice. It's going to keep nice buffers, buffering the single-family residential that does exist, and it's going to bring in great clientele. We are doing so much since September, working with these neighborhoods, because we want them as our clientele, honestly. We believe that we have a great product. We have a use that's consistent. Staff also agrees with us that they recommend approval. It's consistent with the future land use plan, the zoning, and the surrounding areas. And I can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, last speaker is Matt Dixon.
Hi, yeah, Matt Dixon. I'm also with the applicant, Liver Spira. Just wanted to say thank you for looking at our zoning application, and we're excited to bring the concept to Fort Worth. And I would defer the rest of my time to hear any feedback.
All right, those are all the speakers. We have no speakers in opposition. Commissioner Raines, do you have any questions for the speakers?
I don't have any questions, more just comments, and they got 2 letters of support. I appreciate y'all reaching out to the neighbors. We always appreciate that. That does a lot of work for us on the front end, so thank you for reaching out and being transparent. And the letter of opposition, I kind of read through that, and one of the main concerns was, that there's some A5 that's going to be in the future, which you pointed out. You're not trying to hide it. And just the impact on that neighborhood. And as I look at the surrounding neighborhoods and land uses, there are plenty of examples of very light commercial that abuts A5 residential, just like that, just like the schools. There's little strip centers and grocery stores and things. I think one of the things that the reason you got so much support is that you are keeping so much green space. As we know, there's all this impervious surfaces going up all over the city, and certainly this part, you just look at the map, you can see it everywhere. And you've got this giant floodplain running through there, and so the fact that you're preserving that for the most part and keeping so much green space is a really good fit for this project. I can see why you got so much support, and I plan to support it myself. So,
Awesome. The only thing I would add for the developers in the letter of opposition, I think he would like to see the full presentation, if that's possible, before City Council. Would you like to make a motion? Or, yeah, the comment?
So could I see the future site plan that had the future residential lots up against it? There we go. Does staff know if those future lots, if that has been, if that's in ETJ or if it's already annexed, is it platted? Do we know where we are in that process?
If we go to a zoning map, I'll tell you real quick. Zoning map. Yeah, it looks like it's already currently zoned A5, so it's within the city.
So can I ask the necessity to have that secondary access point through the neighborhood to the site?
It's a plating requirement. So typically there's a requirement to stub in.
But that's usually against something that's not been annexed or is in the ETJ.
No, it's typically, it's more of a plating requirement than it is a zoning requirement. So right now we're kind of just looking at the use versus that stub out. I think the proper location to view that would be the Plan Commission, if they request a waiver.
I have no issues with what we're saying. I think that's the only part of this that seems inappropriate, just based on what the use is in the business. If I owned this business, I wouldn't want a neighborhood collector running into my shop, because now you got the kids on the bikes and spring break,
that.
like my kids are running rampant right now. So be over there getting massages.
All right, would you like to make a motion?
yes, I'm prepared. On case number ZC-23-205, I move approval.
Second.
There's a motion for approval from Commissioner Raines with a second from Commissioner Werman.
Sorry, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Oh, okay, gotcha. Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 9-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case, and this case will be heard by city council on March 19th. ZC 24002, the address is 3116 Chenault Street. The applicant is Avset Ventures LP, Chris Koch. The request is from E Neighborhood Commercial to A51 Family.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Bryce Davis. I'm here representing Avset Ventures. Don't really have anything to speak about, just mainly here for questions.
I see there's another speaker on this case as well. Would you like the other speaker to speak on this case?
Sure.
With Phyllis Allen.
Good afternoon. I am president of United Riverside Neighborhood Association. And to Avocet, I want to say welcome to the neighborhood. We are in support of this. I did write an email, but I wanted to come because we come to tell you about things that we do not support. And I don't want our neighborhood to get the reputation that we're against everything new. What Avocet did is absolutely admirable because that was an existing house that had been allowed to fall into disrepair. It is now repaired. It is very nice, and we're excited about having a new family in the neighborhood. So I want you to know that United Riverside Neighborhood Association and the neighbors are extremely excited and supportive of having new housing in the community. That's it.
Thank you. Staff, is there any other speakers on this case?
No additional speakers.
Commissioner Romero, do you have any questions for any of the speakers?
No questions.
Would you like to make a
Thanks for
motion?
coming out. Yes. For ZC 24-002, I move to approve.
Second.
You have a motion for approval from Commissioner Romero with a second from Commissioner Hoplet. Let's move to a vote.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, CC 24004, the address is 1724 North Sylvania and 2624 Daisy Lane. Applicant is James Stevens. The request is from E Neighborhood Commercial to A51 Family.
We have two speakers.
We have Karina Molina. I'm not sure if she is here in person or I don't see her online.
Is there a Karina present?
We also have Teresa, who I do see online. Teresa, you're a panelist, so you can mute and unmute yourself now.
Hi, my name is Teresa McGee, and I'm with Texas Surveying. I'm currently representing Miguel Molina, who is the owner at 2624 Daisy Lane. He is wanting to utilize the space at the back, which is currently zoned as E Neighborhood Commercial, for his family unit. I'm here to answer any question you guys may have, so please just let me know if you have any.
Commissioners, Commissioner Romero, do you have any questions for the speaker? All right.
No, no questions.
Any other commissioners have a question? All right, Commissioner Romero, would you like to make a motion on this case?
Yes. For ZC-24-004, I move to approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Romero with a second from Commissioner Rains.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, CC 24005. The address is 5812 Oakdale Drive. The applicant is Stephen Burnett. The request is from A5, one family to B2 family.
I'm Stephen Burnett. Yeah, I want to go from A1 to Zone B for affordable two attached units on a single lot.
All right, yeah, this is Commissioner McDonald. He's looking to build a duplex, I believe.
Yes, sir. Mr. Burdett, how long have you owned this property?
Well, actually, Keith, he's been owning it for over 2 years. It's
Okay.
It's a vacant lot.
Okay. Had he been advised about the particular zoning on this particular property?
Can you say that again?
Had he been advised about the particular zoning on this property, that it indeed had been zoned for A5?
Yes.
Okay. And you say that you want to go to B because for affordable housing reasons?
Correct, for affordable, correct.
Will he be living on part of this property? Or is this all going to be just kind of spec that both sides of this duplex will be rented for folks?
Well, he will live on one side and he will rent out the other side.
Okay. All right, well, that's the questions that I have.
There's no other speakers on this case, staff?
No additional registered speakers on this case.
Commissioner McDonald, you have any questions for the commissioners? Are you ready to make a motion?
No, I mean, this kind of, I certainly believe in affordable housing, but I'm not a fan of spot zoning. And I think that the staff in this particular case is right on this case. So unfortunately, in the case of ZC-24-005, I'll move for denial.
And I would like to take a moment just to kind of explain what he means about spot zoning. This neighborhood is built out as A5, and typically we try to zone different lots the same way. If you have one house next to another house, we don't want to put duplexes or apartments in the middle of neighborhoods. We try to protect the integrity of a neighborhood. So spot zoning, saying we're going to take this one lot and change it instead of making it look like the rest of the neighborhood. Does that make sense? I think from an investment standpoint, I can see where the owner is going. They can live in one area, rent out the other. But the way this vote is going, or the way it looks on the zoning map for future land use, is to protect the integrity of the neighborhood of having A5 throughout the entire neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
We do have a motion for denial from Commissioner McDonald. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
There's a second from Commissioner Rains. Or Commissioner Leggett.
That's fine.
We can move to a
As long
vote.
as it's seconded.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
The vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval, or recommends denial for this case. Next case, CC 24008, the applicant, or the address is 5008 Collet Little Road. The applicant is Jeremiah Nix, Javon Harris. The request is from E Neighborhood Commercial to UR Urban Residential. And the applicant is requesting a continuance on this case.
Do we have to make a motion for a continuance or hear from the applicant?
We do have the applicant online if you'd like to hear from them.
Applicant, would you like to?
Yes.
I see that you would like the continuance, and you probably want to save your presentation until the continuance, or who is that, Commissioner Werman or Commissioner Romero, would you like to wait for the presentation until next time? Commissioner, or is it McDonald? District
No,
11.
it's Commissioner Romero.
Commissioner Romero, would you like them to present, or would you like them to wait for a continuance?
We can wait for the continuance.
Matt Higgins, how long of a continuance are you seeking?
It's right on the staff report.
Yes, sir. Until the next zoning meeting in our P&Z meeting in April.
Okay, so you're looking for a continuance to the next zoning meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Romero, you have any other questions for this case?
No.
All right, would you like to make a motion?
What's the next meeting? Is it April
10th.
10th? Okay. I'd like to move for a motion.
A motion for a continuance to next zoning meeting?
Yes.
All right, is there a second? There's a second from Commissioner or second from Commissioner Leggett. I seen your hand up there, Commissioner Leggett. A motion from Commissioner Romero with a second from Commissioner Leggett. Move to a vote.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends a continuance to the next meeting. Next case, ZC 24013. The address is 3445 Keller Hazlet Road, 13451 and 13517 Alta Vista Road. Applicant is Tom Ross, Douglas Cooper, MMA. Request is from C medium density multifamily to E neighborhood commercial.
Speaker here for this case.
Thank you, Chairman and Commission. Douglas Cooper with MMA representing St. Teresa Catholic Church. Just to reiterate what the staff report kind of outlined, we're here seeking rezoning from C to E. The property is currently developed with the church. They're in the early stages of master planning the 27 acres. As we dove into the development code, it became apparent the zoning standards part of C are a lot more conducive than the development standards with the C multifamily. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Staff, is there this only speaker on this case?
We did have one additional speaker come in late, Tom Ross.
Okay. All right, commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I guess how much of an impact would it be on your parking? I mean, it says 2,500 seats, so would you have to park, another couple hundred spaces, I guess, to meet the current requirements?
Correct. There's a slight reduction going from the C to the E commercial zoning. Additionally, there's setback requirements, building up to the street, signage, certain signage that we'd be seeking. But really, it's just to get more in line with a commercial zoning district.
Commissioner Warman, you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you for this time. Commissioner Warman, would you like to discuss or make a motion?
Yes, for ZC 24-013, I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Warman with a second from Commissioner Welch.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote? Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
The vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, CC 24014, the address is 12800 and 12860 Timberland Boulevard and 12541 North Kaler Road. Applicant is Reginald Young, Brian Welty, Cover 2 Capital. The request is from A21 to PDD, Plan Development for all uses in D. High-density multifamily plus restaurant, cafe, cafeteria, and retail sales, general with development standards for parking, site plan included.
Afternoon. Brian Welty with Cover 2 Capital. I'm going to start with a brief excerpt from the staff report. This proposal has several outcomes that could be a net positive for the city, including but not limited to providing additional housing units, preserving trees on site, enhancing the site walkability of the area, placing growth along a major road corridor, and giving an opportunity for small-scale and neighborhood businesses to contribute to the local tax base. In addition, the following policies that apply specifically to the far north sector are supported by the rezoning proposal. Number one, promoting fiscally sustainable growth on the periphery of the city by encouraging development adjacent to the existing adequate infrastructure and discouraging leapfrog development. Number two, encourages urban residential development in appropriate locations to create more walkable, pedestrian-oriented neighborhoods. Number three, encourages preservation and enhancement of the natural landscape by retaining trees, natural drainage ways, and unique vistas. Next, I'm going to move on to a little about the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was developed in 2019 and adopted in 2020, March. Since then, DFW has created 600,000 new jobs. Growth of that magnitude increases the need for additional neighborhood commercial and was repeatedly emphasized. That was repeatedly emphasized at our HOA meetings and conversations. The nature of Timberland is changing and has become a major east-west corridor and will continue to see growth in a variety of commercial uses. Land values are already rising in anticipation of those changes. We will be working with our traffic engineer, Kimley Horn, on improvements that can be made to ease traffic concerns at Kaler, the eastern road of the property, and obviously at Timberland. Those could include the addition of a signal to slow traffic on Timberland and Kaler intersection, as well as the widening of Kaler to reduce traffic. I believe these are still. A little about us. We're local developers. We've done projects in Fort Worth prior. Multifamily, we're here to do the right thing for the city. We have in our previous projects as well. A little site-specific item. Our planning on this project began by meeting with the HOAs with a blank aerial view of the site and asking them what they were looking for, what would please them, what their HOA guys wanted. And from there, we built out our vision of that, met with them again, tweaked that vision, and met with them a third time. And so that's how this was formed by committee. The next step was getting feedback from the Planning Commission. And that was very helpful as well, tweaking this to do just what the city wanted. What we end up with is a site that has very large buffer to the single family. It's Planning 101. We've pushed the commercial use and the higher density out to the busy street in the corner. We've buffered that with less dense use that buffers the even less single family use. We've also buffered along Kaler by pushing some of our open space requirement to a park that just widens creates a better pedestrian enhancement along Kaler and connects with our commercial corner. Discussions with schools. There were no concerns with Keller ISD regarding the amount of students this would generate. What Keller ISD rep was interested in was the tax revenue we were going to create for Keller ISD.
Thank you.
I know that's a big
Final
neighborhood.
statements.
Mr. Chairman, you can give him a couple more minutes, please.
Hello, okay.
Thank you. I'm almost there. Generally, the school was most excited about the tax benefit for Keller ISD. Our tax analysis shows tax benefit approximately $700,000 a year going to Keller ISD. So that's a big benefit for them. Architectural styles were sort of brought up with the HOA meetings as well. And these buildings will have a residential character. Kind of flip through a few. You can see the density. We're keeping the trees. We're keeping the topography as requested by the HOAs. Here's some of the feel. Residential roofs, residential scale. Get a little into renter demographic. Renter demographics and preferences are changing. This will be luxury, multifamily. So the median income required to rent these units will be $84,000, which is right in line with the neighborhood. These are not Section 8 by any means. We also estimate that this $75 million investment in Fort Worth is going to generate over $400,000 of property tax revenue to the city annually. And again, Keller ISD will be the recipient of around $700,000 annual. We also have a slide here addressing concerns of the community, and they're the same concerns we get with most mixed-use projects. Traffic, there is a traffic concern. What I don't think the understanding of the opposition is that new developments always contain off-site work. In our case, that off-site work would be an upgrade, adding a signal at the intersection. It would be widening Kayla Road. Those are all benefits to the neighborhood. Property values, study and data. This presentation also has 2 more pages that has all the source for all this data, if you guys want to dig in. Property values always increase with a mixed housing type and mixed use environment. Causes an increase in property taxes. Crime, more eyes, less crime. It's very simple. I went over our renter demographic. That demographic is very close to in line with the demographic of the neighborhood. Schools, I briefly went over our input from Keller ISD. That's what I've got, and I'm here to answer questions.
How many units did you guys propose on this plan that you've got?
265, along with 16,000 feet of restaurant retail.
Do you have an end user in mind for the restaurant and retail?
We are working with 2 groups right now to carefully curate that as a family-friendly, restaurant-heavy destination. That was something we talked to the HOAs about, and something we want them involved in. Obviously, helping curate that so we get the right people in, so we have users.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Warman, I noticed we have 3 more speakers in favor and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 speakers in opposition for this case. I see that you have done your outreach to the different HOAs in this area.
Yes, we definitely have.
Okay. At this time, did we want to have another speaker in favor of the project speak, or do we want to move to the opposition? You have a Blake Poston, Mark Coldwell, and a Trina Zeiss.
I think Mark will speak to rebuttal to the opposition.
Okay.
Trina, would you like to? Okay, I think we're ready for opposition.
Ready to hear the opposition? For the opposition, we're going to try to control the points and times. We will allow for the majority of their speak. If you want to hear all of them speak, I'll allow it. Typically, we're a little different from city council, where every speaker is allotted their minutes. For zoning, everyone together is allowed 7 minutes. But that's why I'm encouraging y'all to try to consolidate your points. That way y'all have all your points together. Does that make sense for everyone? For opposition?
Mr. Chairman, when opposition comes up, can we make sure that Jason Allen is the first speaker if possible?
You want Jason Allen as the first speaker?
Yes.
I don't have a Jason Allen on here. Well, yeah, I see him. Jason Allen can be the first
Yeah,
speaker.
I think he's speaking for the most people at once.
Okay, that makes sense. So at this time, we'll hear from the opposition.
So first, if I'm submitting this, do I need to hand this here? I've got a list of the petition of all the signatures, so. And I've got a prepared statement. But before I read my prepared statement, I do want to mention that as a resident of Stedman Farms, I'm not aware of anybody meeting with our neighborhood at all. Johnny's the president, and he's not aware of anybody meeting with us either. And we're the neighboring community, so. Ladies and gentlemen of the zoning board, I stand before you today as a concerned resident representing the 481 neighbors that have signed the petitions that we've submitted. And we are deeply invested in the well-being of our community. The proposal to rezone the parcel of land for multifamily housing raises significant apprehensions among us, the surrounding homeowners. Our neighborhood thrives on its serene character defined by single-family residences. Introducing a large multifamily complex may disrupt its tranquility, bringing with it an influx of traffic, noise, and potential strain on our local resources. Our schools and utilities, carefully balanced for our current population, could face challenges coping with an increased demand. Moreover, we must consider the impact on property values. The allure of our community lies in its unique charm, and a sudden shift towards multifamily housing may jeopardize the very essence that attracted us to this neighborhood. Preserving the integrity of our single-family housing environment is vital for maintaining the appeal and value of our properties. As responsible citizens, we understand the need for development, but we urge the board to consider alternative solutions that align with the existing character of our community. Let us work together to find a balanced approach that respects the concerns of homeowners while fostering responsible growth. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And you said there was 418 signatures, Jason?
There are 481.
81.
I got 480. I don't know. We have to recount them all. Jason, I had a couple questions for you, if you don't mind coming back up. The petition that everybody's looking at, it's residents from
Neighboring
multiple
multiple
neighborhoods, right?
communities. It's Woodland Springs, Stedman Farms. There's from all around because, you know, we've gone around to the different communities, hung out at all the different pools and talked about it. And we've talked to the Vows people and everybody else. And it's all the different communities. We've got real concerns about the traffic here. There are serious accidents in our area all the time along those streets on Timberland and on Kaler and on Park Vista. There are serious accidents, and I've met with Councilman Shingleton many times when we've tried to address some of these issues. There's a new school that went up across the street from where they're wanting to develop, and that school is expanding. We don't understand how the cars are gonna fit everywhere because right now with the school pickup and drop off with that school, it's a private school. It's insane, the amount of traffic that's right at that intersection right there. And so we don't understand how adding additional multifamily housing in that section right there is gonna be congruent with that private school across the street.
Did you guys have any contact with the residents and property owners in Sunset Circle to the south? Oh, there they are. Okay. I was wondering where y'all were. Did you have any contact with the actual landowner of the site that's for sale?
I have not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, staff, I'm going to move to the next opposition speaker.
Next speaker will be Justin Ware, joining us online.
Hi there, this is Justin Ware. I'm a homeowner who lives nearby. I drive on North Kaler and Timberland Boulevard every day. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you. As you already saw in the working session today, the request does not align with the comprehensive plan or the expectations of surrounding homeowners in that area. Also, I just heard the developer state in an exciting format that this would benefit the city at a tune of over $400,000 from a tax standpoint and Keller ISD of over $700,000, yet failed to mention the benefit to the adjacent legacy homes and neighborhoods other than pedestrian access across Timberland that already exists today. The encroachment of non-residential usage further into the neighborhood by already allowing the private school that was just mentioned, Trinity Prep Academy, directly north of the proposed development, has already created a noticeable amount of traffic during school days. I sent in several photos of that traffic. I don't know if that's available for viewing. But due to the congestion there, as parents drop off and then pick up their students, parents have to sit along the shoulder, they sit in the grass, they sit in the road itself. They attempt their best to not block traffic, but it is already severely congested. And as mentioned, that school is already underway to build their second building as they double their capacity and assumed company traffic impact. I have not seen any traffic study or plan to correct the current traffic impact across North Kaler for not just the southern section, but also the full northern section. I live in McPherson Ranch and HOA, and we were not notified, I believe, to a miscommunication of neighbor communication signups with the city, but our neighborhood didn't receive anything. If the zoning commission plans to compromise the current entitled use in the future and select to allow development outside single-family resident, I'd recommend that they require only one-story structures with restriction height not to exceed the one-story, not three-story buildings tower over in the legacy homes, making it homogeneous with existing homes, perhaps implement a larger buffer other than outside of what's typically expected with trees and such, and allow for the restriction of light and noise pollution. If it's not clear, I'm opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker will be Derek Sarney, followed by Brian Cooper.
Good afternoon. We recently moved out there. I've been in Heritage for the last 13 years, and we were trying to find something with a little bit more space, a little bit more privacy, and in North Fort Worth, there's not very much of that. So we just moved out there, and my daughter, who goes to Trinity Springs, she has to walk on Kaler to get to the bus stop. And right now, it's a very narrow road, and people use that as a drag strip cut through. You can go really fast, really quickly, and I just kind of, I fear for her safety when she walks to that bus stop in the morning time. And it's very dark. We've asked for the lights that are there to be illuminated. They don't get illuminated. So it's very harrowing to make that trip. So I just, widening that road is not going to solve that problem. It's just a natural cut through to get where people are going. And so I'm not sure that widening that road is going to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Brian Cooper.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. My name is Brian Cooper. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. So I live in the Stedman Farms addition. My property backs up to North Kaler. I am within 300 feet of the proposed apartment complex. Within the last year and a half, I built a nice outdoor space. Kind of speaking for myself here, but 3-story apartment buildings would be able to look right into my backyard, as well as all my neighbors on Haverhill Drive that border North Kaler. Just a few facts here that I was able to research. There are already a significant number of apartments called the Lyric out on Highway 377. This thing is about 1.5 miles from where we are. I didn't verify, but I'm told that they're not all full. I can verify that there were proposed restaurants, an Italian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and I think some sort of American food restaurant. They were promised along with kind of a family-style space with music, park-like atmosphere. None of that has happened. And my question there is, where's the developer's accountability when they make these promises, yet they don't pull through? I think that's something the board seriously needs to look at. My question on the parking with a 265-unit apartment complex, each residence was allotted 1.44 parking spaces. If that's not enough, there's nowhere for these people to park. There's nothing on Kaler, there's nothing on Timberland. It's just, it's going to be a disaster, I think, as far as parking. A few facts here. I'll close by some numbers here by Realtor.com. With higher renter concentration, homes have a 13.8% lower home value in comparison to homes in the same county. The negative impact of high renter concentration on home values is greater than having a home located near a shooting range, a cemetery, or a homeless shelter. And only slightly better than homes located near strip clubs. So the site would definitely cause increased noise, increased traffic. It would decrease scenic views, and it would increase population turnover at local schools. So all of these changes would result in a decrease in the property values, as well as the privacy for those of us in the Stedman Farms subdivision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zoning commissioners and Commissioner Werman, I would say we are at the 7 minutes for opposition to speak. So far, we have heard elaborate conversations about the traffic impact, the impact on crime, the impact on home value, the impact on the neighborhood continuity to continue the A21 housing that is currently zoned for. We also see about the 3-story housing and its view on the privacy of the owners in the surrounding neighborhood. But number one reason has been the traffic in this area. I'll default to you. Would you like to continue to hear the opposition speak?
Yeah, especially if we've got anybody who has another perspective.
Okay.
Things we haven't addressed as of yet. And then specifically anybody, if you have to pick one person from Sunset, y'all can nominate that person right now, and because they're the most closely impacted neighborhood.
We can continue with the speakers. I'll just ask all future speakers, please make a point that's outside of the points I just listed, because we have notated those points already about the zoning. So next, I believe we had Claire and Bancroft. And staff, can you keep count for the time for these additional speakers? We'll yield that time also to the rebuttal.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. My name is Claire Bancroft. I am the head of school at Trinity Preparatory Academy, which has been mentioned. We are directly north across Timberland from this proposed development. We did not get any notification that this was happening other than from concerned neighbors in the area that called the school to ask us if we knew about it. I did submit a letter which has several points on it, but one of the things that I want to be brief, one of the things that I want to point out is that I'm very concerned about safety. If you've seen our property, due to things that happened in Uvalde, happened in Nashville and around the country, we ended up, right before we finished our school, we ended up fencing the entire property because we are very concerned about the safety of our students. And in my opinion, there is no cost that is too great to protect our kids. We have kindergarten through 12th grade at our school. We are a university model school, so we have one group of students 2 days a week, a different group of students 2 other days a week, with elective classes for our high schoolers on Friday. We chose this location back pre-COVID 2019 is when we first made the offer on the property, in order to have a quiet neighborhood for our families, because they really wanted a place where their kids could go to school that was in a nice area. And we've really been appreciative that the neighbors have worked with us. We are continuing, as our second building is built, to work on that traffic with pickup and drop-off times. And I think we're going to be able to make it better for them. But my concern is safety. We have several students that walk or bike to school. I'm very concerned, as they've already said, it is a busy intersection, and I'm very concerned that our students will no longer be able to walk or bike to school if there is this large development with hundreds of additional people and retail next door, directly across the street. The last thing I want to say that is different than what, not really different, but I live next door to the Lyric. I live right behind the Lyric, those apartments. And what the gentleman before me said is that they do not have, there is a donut shop. All of the restaurants that were promised to us are not there. I drove past there Sunday evening at 9 p.m., and I would say at least 75% of the windows are dark. I don't know their people that are, what they actually have leased, but I don't think that property is full. And I don't, even though it's not in Fort Worth, I don't feel like people that are looking for a place to live are making that decision according to Fort Worth or Keller. So it's 1.4 miles from our school and this proposed development. So I'm just concerned it will not only it will partially sit empty, and then I think that will be an additional spot where there's going to be crime and vandalism and challenges for us and create unsafe conditions. So thank you so much for time and your consideration.
All right, thank you. We have our next speaker.
Hi, y'all. I too have a petition to pass around.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jessica Scarola. I live on Sunset Circle. I'll try to keep my points, and pardon my skipping around. There's been lots of things said that I had to plan to say, so I'll try to keep it concise. But yes, I live on Sunset Circle. That petition before you has 270 signatures and 192 unique addresses from 7 surrounding neighborhoods. Many of these people couldn't attend today. Most of them had no idea what was going on, even if their HOAs were told about it. I have a small kind of comment into the planning of this, and that it was discussed with some HOAs. I don't know who. We are not technically an HOA, so we were not notified other than the 5 houses that are in the kind of zoning area. One of them is a vacant lot, so there's only 5 houses. So, but I think it was said that the vision was for kind of this rendering. I think the vision, from what I was told from someone in that meeting, was more for kind of a green space, open public area. I don't believe apartments were mentioned in that, or any high density was mentioned in that. To kind of reiterate, there's 5 high density complexes within a mile and 4 more that you can add to that if you go within 2 miles of this site. We're not in need of it. We're already saturated suburban area. The other really big impact will happen for my neighborhood. We are large lot residential. We're A21. There's not much of that when you look at the zoning map, much less in North Fort Worth. Although multifamily and high density does offer some benefits to the city, so does keeping that zoning there. The diversity is needed. There's not much of that land space left, and we can't make more of it. It does offer benefits to the city as well. So we are very much in the opinion that rejecting the zoning request would protect and preserve the character, but also benefit the city too. Not everything is quite as nicely painted as I think it seems, so.
Thank you. Have any questions for the speaker? Thank you. Commissioner, would you like to continue with the opposition? Yeah, keep it going. All right. I believe we had our staff. Who's next up?
We have Maria Paz Duran and then Amber Tolan.
We have Maria, then Amber, then Seth, and Johnny, unless they choose to yield their time.
Hello, Zoning Board. My name is Maria Paz. I live on 4964 Sunset Circle. The perspective I'm taking in opposition for this site is a lot of drainage concerns with this site. So first part is that the construction on Timberline is rather recent. According to the Fort Worth Stormwater Manual, they designed all of their storm systems based off the fully developed conditions per the future land use. At the current moment, it is currently being used, and the future land use is shown as the A21 zoning. If they were to change the zoning over here, it will increase the runoff. We're talking switching the runoff coefficient from a 0.3 to a 0.95. And the site plan that was provided to us, to the neighbors, do not show any kind of detention, and it's just going to create a lot more issues. And then another issue regarding the drainage is that the property directly south of the south east property, they do experience a crap ton of drainage issues already. Every time it rains, that property becomes a pond. So the drainage on North Kaler Road is already concerning enough. Adding all of these developments, adding all of the paving that's going to be involved in a site plan like this will only increase the issue, especially when there is no detention. The other concern is that there is no sewer access on that property itself. The nearest sewer manhole is at the Trinity Prep School that's north of the property. It is about 115 feet north of it. The depth of that sewer manhole is only about 4.275 deep. So if the developers were to try and make a lift station, that is a possibility. Otherwise, they are likely not following the Tarrant County requirements for a septic system. And if they were to try to connect or try to create a lift station, then it would just increase the construction in that area, which will add on to the traffic issues that are already in that area. Last thing I want to mention is that if they were to try to expand the North Kaler Road, they would have to expand it past where, rather, they will likely have to expand it past where the proposed development is, and on at least the east side of North Kaler Road, there is a drainage ditch, and though I don't know how far they're able to expand to the right to be able to not interfere with that drainage ditch, there are going to be these still concerns with adding more pavement in that area alone, which adds to the potential issues with the stormwater system that have been construction sometime in the last 10 years. And that's it.
Thank you.
Any questions? Because I do not want to try to walk up with this crutch right here.
I was going to wait till you got to the top of the stairs.
That would be very nice of you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. Well, let's come back. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Was that Amber Tolan that was next? We're out of time, but I'm at the extended again. You like continued extension?
Last speaker.
Last speaker. We'll let the last three speakers, but just know we've already, for zoning commission, it's only 7 minutes total for everyone. This isn't like city council where everyone gets to speak. Do we understand? But we will continue it for y'all today. But just we also have a lot of other cases after y'all that needs to speak on their cases. Okay? Thank you, Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber Tolan. I live at 5081 Sunset Circle North, and so my property is directly affected by this. They're going to build this apartments 90 feet from my back door. This is property that my grandparents bought in 71. I've lived there my entire life, and it's not something that I want to look out and see in the backyard, 3- and 4-story apartment buildings. I mean, I have pear trees that my grandparents had from their parents on the property, and I fear that if the zoning change is approved, I will have no choice but to sell my property, and I'm opposed to that because, like I said, I grew up there. I want to continue to live there. So.
Thank you, Amber. We have a Seth Daniel.
Hi, Council. Thanks for having me. My name's Seth Daniel. I am a teacher in Keller ISD, a long-time teacher. And so I want to speak to the point of the school, not the school district, but the people that will be impacted by this change. Specifically, I work in the North Riverside corridor, which you may know has rampant multifamily housing and how that affects school districts. We're talking about going from a single home to 265 units, which their data said would be 62. My calculations at 80 to 120 students. And while the district may be able to accommodate it, the problem is resources, and the problem is the transitory nature of multifamily housing, meaning there's a lot of turnover. And that makes it really difficult for districts, though I'm sure they're happy about the $700,000, but from a human capital standpoint, for our children, it is very difficult to appropriately plan the right resources. And so what ends up happening is our class sizes in the schools that I work in. I work at North Riverside Elementary. I've been a teacher there for quite some time. What ends up happening is we have an enormous amount of turnover during the year. It's hard to plan for, and kids with needs ultimately have to sacrifice those needs, meaning we don't properly serve them. On paper, maybe it looks good, but the reality is that when you have so many kids coming in and out, as would likely happen with this development, I'm not sure where they're going to move the schools. The schools in that area are very full. But I'm sure that the district is big enough to jostle and juggle, as you will, but it will max out our elementary. I also live in Sunset Circle. I guess I should have clarified that. I live at 4744 Sunset Circle. Our school is Independence Elementary, and it's already pretty close to max. So they'll max it out all the way, which means more chaos for teachers, more chaos for our kids, and ultimately will impact education outcomes no matter what they tell you. So I thank you very much for your time, but just wanted to provide a little input on the teacher side of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the final speaker I have is a Johnny Butler for the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, the last one. My name is Johnny Butler, and I am the president of the Stedman Farms HOA, representing in excess of 387 homes. The phase 2 of our addition is directly impacted by this development. I lived at one point in time in Village of Woodland Springs back in 2015, whenever that major apartment complex arose on Riverside Drive. I watched my neighbors' housing values drop. I spoke with every one of my neighbors. The crime has increased. Everybody's complained about the traffic. That also occurred there too. We greatly appreciate Mr. Bryan for reaching out to Stedman Farms HOA. I would like to say for our community, it prides itself on its unique character and quality of life it offers to its residents. Introduction of these 3- and 4-story multifamily units, which, Commissioner, please understand, I'm old Texas, and it's fairly simple to me. And these beautiful words of multifamily, that constitutes in apartment complexes. You can make it pretty with the words, but at the end of the day, it's high rises. These changes in these apartment complexes, we fear not only risk altering the essence of our neighborhood, could also lead to a tangible decrease in those property values.
We have final statements?
Yes, the feedback from our community, from Stedman Farms, is clearly unanimous in its call to maintain the current zoning regulations. This stance is not born out of opposition, but deep-seated commitment to preserving the character and integrity of Stedman Farms. We oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, what was that additional time? 11 additional minutes. For the rebuttal, we have Mark Colo and Trina Zeiss and Blake Poston.
Hello, my name's Mark Colwell. You all have been very patient
and I will be quick and to the point, hopefully. We did meet with Mark Brast at Stedman. Well, he used to be apparently, because he attended 3 meetings.
Hey, up here.
With regard to traffic, a recent study by the Institute of Traffic Engineers found that apartment residents average 6.3 car trips daily compared to 10 daily trips generated by single-family homes. Property values, studies performed by the National Association of Home Builders, the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard, the University of Utah, the Urban Land Institute, and by Virginia Tech University, and studies around the country, all determine that the proximity of apartments to single-family homes does not negatively impact home values. With regard to crime, a recent study in Irving, Texas by the police department found that there's no link between crime and housing density. A similar study by the Multifamily Housing Council in Arizona and Phoenix found the same thing, that apartments actually create less demand for police services than a comparable number of single-family homes. Renter demographics are changing. And again, if I can refer to a study by the Joint Center for Housing Studies, the number of apartments charging $2,000 or more per month in rent has jumped from 3.2 million to over 7.3 million. Household formation has slowed. The birth rate has slowed down, and the majority of multifamily renters today are married couples without children, or they're singles, individuals. They do not add population strain on the school districts. I come from a family of school superintendents. My brother was superintendent in Garland for 16 years. I think he'll tell you the same thing. The Pew Research Center just recently reported a couple of weeks ago that 26.6 million young adults between the ages of 18 and 29 years old still live with their parents. They're employed, but they still live with their parents because they can't afford home ownership. I think we mischaracterize who lives in these multifamily units. Probably, I dare say, many of us spent some part of our life living in a multifamily deal. I think it mischaracterized them to think that they leer out their windows in their spare time, seeing what the neighbors are doing in their backyards. And in terms of schools, 100 owner-occupied single-family homes average 64 school-aged children, compared to 21 school-aged children per 100 units of apartments. Apartment properties actually pay more in property taxes than single-family homes. Brian alluded to that earlier. So we've tried to be good listeners. We've followed the process. The city staff has been very helpful, very thorough, and I think they will tell you we have in kind responded thoughtfully and openly to the requested changes. That's all I have.
Thank you. For the next speaker in support.
I just wanted to thank you all for your time this afternoon. It's very difficult to be in the position that you all are in. You're volunteers, and we recognize that. I come from a municipal background myself. I sat in your chair. And I've sat in the chair of a public services director. So I recognize a lot of the issues that have been brought before you. I do represent the property owner, I want to make that clear. But I own property too. I've had children too that can't afford to live in our current climate with increasingly expensive apartments. We all recognize how change affects us, and change is not easy, especially when it comes to what we've become accustomed to in terms of a peaceful vacant lot becoming developed. Regardless of how it's developed, change is not easy. And there are pros and cons to every argument. So on behalf of the owner, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers in support?
There are no additional registered speakers on this case.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the speakers? Have any questions for the speakers? Commissioners, do I have any comment before we make a motion?
I just want to thank the commission for a little latitude and patience today, and letting everybody get their money's worth. We don't have these cases very often where we have this much live opposition. So I do really appreciate you guys being patient, letting these guys speak. I want to say a couple things before I make my motion. It's been refreshing the last 3 years to see the willingness that developers have to appease the people that they're going to impact and affect with their projects. I appreciate the willingness to expand the roadway to help alleviate traffic concerns. It's the last 6 months or so, we've seen a lot of that in our specific council district. For the first time in our district's history, we're actually starting to see infill zoning where small pockets are having to be developed. And having a developer who's putting forth this kind of project does feel really good from a development side. But when you look at this area as a whole, the apartments are focused along Highway 377, State Highway 170, and I-35W. They are not infill apartment complexes in this part of town. The need for that in this area doesn't appear to be as great as it is on the outside, where you're much closer to the freeways and the transportation system. So while I can appreciate it, I think your project is better suited in a different area of this district, because it's not compatible, it's not consistent with what's going on in this space as we see it. The tax revenue generated is no laughing matter, but I do want to let everybody know that, you know, with Keller ISD being subject to recapture in the state of Texas, $700,000 is not $700,000. So the impact from the tax base is quite a bit smaller than anticipated, but so are the number of kids that would be in Keller schools. In this sort of Class A development, I think his numbers are pretty close at 0.2 kids per door for everybody here in opposition. We had a case a couple months ago that's up on Highway 170 that impacts Northwest ISD, and their Class A was at 0.1. So I think those numbers are good. But, you know, I do stand with you guys and support that this is not, in my estimation, an appropriate use of the land that's here. But I want to make sure that you guys are commended for being here. The developer is commended for making the progress that they've made. And, you know, thank you to your HOAs and your neighborhood organizations that have registered with the city so that you get these notifications. Things do happen. Not everybody gets notified all the time because there is human error. But I appreciate everybody's willingness to come on board and work together and talk about all this. But with that in mind, for ZC 24-014, I move for denial.
Second.
We have a motion for denial from Commissioner Werman with a second from Commissioner Raines. Move to a vote.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the Zoning Commission recommends denial for this case. Next case is ZC 24015, addresses 2833 and 2825 North Main Street. Applicants John Ainsworth. Request is from F General Commercial to PDG, plan development for all uses in G, intensive commercial plus hotel, site plan included.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I know it was just a lengthy one. This could be, hopefully this will be pretty straightforward. I know staff's recommending denial right now, but I do kind of want to talk real quick through the site plan. We have made some slight changes to this, and I'll get into the presentation next, but primarily with the concern of access off of Ellis Avenue, which is where all the single-family, or I guess two-family residences are. We've amended the site plan so that the primary drive is off of 29th Street to the north and off of the shared access drive between there and Chick-fil-A to the south. So those will be the two primary entrance exits, and then we've added on a service-only access to Ellis that would be gated. Just the thought being there might be instances where like vehicle maneuvering through the site would want to restrict that, and so that's, and again, primary traffic has been diverted so that it's not going to impact Ellis with the townhomes there. And with that, I'll flip back over to the presentation. All right, so John Ainsworth with Kimley Horn, and this is, there we go, okay. Kind of talked about the site plan. I do want to just kind of touch on, well, sorry, y'all. Well, my slides are not working here. But the project team overview, I wanted to touch on that, just who's at play and the project overview, and then get into a couple of elevations and then the neighborhood support and outreach that we've done. So we hit on the site plan already. This site is existing Zone F. We are proposing a PD is required here because we're trying to do a hotel within less than half a mile or quarter mile from single family and two family residential. The proposed hotel is a 4-story building over a podium garage. So that garage, given the site grading, kind of has a tuck under where it's accessible. You can see the garage entrance here on the bottom floor. And then this is the ramp. So you would drive down here to get around and access the basement garage floor. One of the constraints with the site, in addition to the grading, was just making sure that we met the parking requirement. So with this podium kind of 5-story concept, we are able to provide that parking with the underneath the building. Okay, so slides are out of order here, I guess, on the presentation, but the property owner here is Barney Holland Oil Company. His family started acquiring this property in 1937. They've been slowly acquiring property in this block from bound by Ellis, 29th, 28th, and Main, up until most recently they acquired the bar at the hard corner of 29th and Main. That bar has been demolished. So clearly they've been in this area for over 80 years, 87 years, and just a vested interest here. They've continue to own and operate or ground lease the Starbucks and the Chick-fil-A there. The Fiesta Market was in operation for about 20 years, or sorry, not Fiesta, but the other grocery that was there. When that lease expired, because the Fiesta across the street was acquired, both chains, and they consolidated, that building was left vacant. So that building was demolished about 5 years ago, and there were some attempts to lease that property up. There were some retailers that were interested, and those leases ended up expiring. There's a shooting range that came in there that was interested in, again, being a long-term tenant or owner of this and just a vested interest in the community at large. Didn't want to do that. They want to make sure that the tenant fits here and it makes sense, and just a shooting range didn't fit. And then he reached out to Oldham Goodwin out of College Station to be the owner operator, or sorry, not owner, but developer operator of this hotel. They've done a great job. If you're familiar with the Spring Hill Suites, just on the south side of the stockyards, so this is a continuation of that. And Oldham Goodwin is also putting in a Home 2 Suites in a case that was recently rezoned at the northeast quadrant of 29th and Main. So you might be thinking, hotels, why are so many hotels? Well, we all know the stockyards is growing. There's a strong demand there, and this Hampton and the Home 2 Suites has been previously approved with zoning. Just different demographics.
Final statements?
Sure. So here's the site plan. Again, we've addressed the access, and I think with neighborhood outreach, just want to point out that we've got 15 letters of support. That included Mr. Holland walking door to door with those neighbors to get the support, and there's only one neighbor on Ellis that we did not get a letter of support from, and that's simply because He is out of town right now. Spoke to his wife and daughter who are at the property, and they're okay with it, just didn't feel comfortable issuing a formal letter of support. So, thank you all.
Thank you. I see we also have a Barney Holland here. Did you want to speak, or do you want to wait until after the opposition? Okay. We move to opposition.
All right. We do have one opposition speaker, and that is Gladys Guevara, and she is joining us online.
Hello, Gladys. Gladys, it looks like you're on mute right now. Are you still there? Gladys, this is the zoning commission. If you're trying to communicate, we're not able to hear you. Staff, is there anything we can do?
It's unmuted, so it looks like it's no response.
I'm unable to unmute, is what Gladys says. Is there a way Gladys can call in? It looks like she can hear us. There we go, Gladys.
Hi.
There we go, we hear you now.
Sorry. I had to drop from my dial.
Actually dismissed.
And connect.
Okay, thank you, Gladys.
All right. So yeah, I just wanted to, my name is Gladys Guevara. I'm a resident of Northside for 7 years, resident of Fort Worth for 30 years. And I'm also part of the Northside Neighborhood Association. I'm in opposition of this case. I do hear that there's long tenure of 80 years with owning that property, but my concern for the residents is the quality of life. Expanding to the residential area, there's a lot of noise. Hotels are 24/7 entering and exiting. Congestion of the roadways. I hear that there is a modification of the entrance. That is one of the biggest concerns. But along with that is just the traffic itself. And then, yes, Stockyards is a tourist area itself. It is growing, and I understand that that has to happen, of course, but I think there should be conversations with other neighboring associations like Northside, which is a big, encompasses in a big area. And I think there should be conversations with that and before the commission makes a decision on that. We already have the pressure of all of the development of the Stockyards, a lot of pressure of getting rid of a lot of residential homes. That's what we, all purchased homes for. And as they encroach the residential areas, that is going to negatively impact those that have chosen to live there, as a family itself. And I think there could be an option for something else. I do like the idea of a retail space. Retail spaces usually have specific times, that they're in use during business hours. So it's a specific time of congestion, not 24/7. But again, I would appreciate if you would consider my opposition. I think there needs to be a little bit more communication with the other neighborhood association. Again, it's majority of Northside. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And said your neighborhood association is the Northside Alliance. What's the name of it?
Northside Neighborhood Association. So I think you're thinking about the Interconnect Alliance, which is a connection of all.
So Northside Neighborhood Alliance?
No, Northside Neighborhood Association.
Neighborhood Association. And who's the president currently?
Aaron Garcia.
Aaron Garcia. Thank you.
What is your address, Gladys? You didn't state it.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know I needed to do that, but it's 2406 Chestnut.
And how far away is that from the site talking about?
I would have to guess maybe 1.5 miles. I can just do a quick check real quick.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Gladys. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the opposition? At this time, we'll move to the rebuttal.
That's great. Yeah. So I've included in there the all the letters of support, specifically the Northside Neighborhood Association, we have reached out to them. You'll see that letter on top. I moved to the front that's dated February 19th, stating that they don't oppose or support it at this time. So we've done our diligence there to meet with the neighbors. Hopefully that's come across in all those letters of support that we do have. Here to answer any further questions you may have, though.
I know you mentioned before that the property owner owns some other properties across the street. Is that correct?
He owns this entire block. So
Okay.
his family started acquiring it, like I said, in 1937. They operated a truck fuel distribution center out of the property, primarily on the south side of the block, more where Starbucks and Chick-fil-A is, and then he's just slowly acquired the rest of the block.
Okay. I just noticed that there was a Chick-fil-A, support letter that, I don't know how, if that's, kind of conflict of interest of writing something for your landlord.
He owns the property, sure. He also is a ground lease. So the letter would be from the Chick-fil-A operator.
As far as your relationship with the surrounding neighborhood, is this operating as a Hampton Hill Suite?
Hampton Inn, yes.
Hampton Inn Suite. Does Hampton Inn have any programs that will benefit the surrounding neighborhoods, such as being able to lease or rent spaces for meetings or?
That I can't speak to. I think that most of the amenities, from what I understand, are kind of focused on guests, but I'm sure that there's not a ton. I think there's primarily just this isn't a large conference hotel. It's primarily just the restaurant for the resident or for the guests, and I can get back to you with more of that. But
As part of that, is there any kind of on-site security that Hampton Inn and Suites is going to operate there? Can you speak to that?
If operationally, so I'm the engineer for the project, and we've got the property owner. Don't have the Oldham Goodwin here, who would be the operator for the hotel. Can get back to you on that, but they want to operate a successful business, though. So if security is deemed necessary, they'll have it. But
It seems like something that's typical in a property like this. So I was curious if you knew. I was really making that comment or question to kind of speak to the opposition's concerns about, this piece of property and what was there. I know there was a grocery store there previously, a lot of traffic, a lot of people in and out. It was noise late at night, trucks coming in, trash compactors, things like that. So it just seems to me that while a lot of times, and we get this a lot, residents want this perfect thing, and we would love you to have this perfect thing too, but we don't get to pick and choose that type of thing. But this seems like a really nice fit for that area. Probably going to bring some security, nice landscaping, lighting, the traffic that is there. If you're at a hotel, you typically stay for a while, and late at night, there's going to be, I would assume, very little in and out. So it just seems like this would actually be a big benefit to the community.
Sorry, I was just there were some support letters that you guys provided that were from the neighbors, and they mentioned that they were cleaning up the property, and there was some vagrancy and some other things going on. So
yes, that's right. And then specifically on access, so not as part of this project, but another part of project I'm working on immediately, well, it's the hotel catty corner to this at the northeast corner of the intersection. As part of that development, we will be adding a signal at 29th and Main. And so there's a TIA that was that scale of a project generated or necessitated a traffic impact analysis, and that identified a signal need here. This hotel didn't meet we discussed it with TPW staff, and the number of trips generated didn't need a TIA, but there will be a new signal going in at that intersection as well.
Well, I'm the zoning commissioner for District 2, but since I'm chair, I'm not able to make a motion. I will state that you did gain a lot of support from other neighborhood associations, as well as strong support from the business community, and has a strong business case of enhancing what is going on with the growth inside the stockyard area. We've had cases where people are trying to do different items to accommodate the amount of business that is coming in for this corridor, and I don't see how this will negatively impact the business side or the commercial base. I am at times worried about what hotels do to neighborhoods. I don't really find the value that a hotel will bring to a neighborhood unless they were involved with the community itself, with the owners actually interacting. If the owner owns the Spring Hill, it's the same owner that's going to work here. That means they're local enough to speak and support some of these local communities to enhance their community in a way outside the business that may not be able to do so. I don't want to hold this up for another zoning commission. I do want to bring this forward to city council and let them make their decision on it. And let's see, Tiza Leggett had a question. Commissioner Leggett, you had a question?
Mr. Chairman, so I don't know if y'all saw the comment in the chat from Gladys. I don't know if we're able to talk about it in the record. Ms. Gladys, were you saying that the Northside Neighborhood Association did not send a letter of support? Did someone say?
Yeah, I would have to
that
get
it was?
confirmation, yes, because
Isn't opposition closed?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'll direct this to you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, that was sent in the chat and it was not read aloud. And since we are, those of us that are on the call are looking at it, I just wanted to have respect for those of us that are remote. So we do see it. So is there a way that we can clarify for the record if it was a mistake or not?
I did see the comment in the chat, but just for staff to see. Gladys, can you repeat that you're unaware if your
Yeah,
neighborhood
so
legislation?
what I was saying is I am the vice president of the association for Northside, and I'm looking at our Gmail, which is a shared email from the officers. And the speaker said that there was a letter of support sent out on February 19th. So
It's
if
not
it
a
was sent
support.
in the email.
Okay. He didn't say there was a letter of support. He just said that there was a notification without a letter of support or an opposition letter from the neighborhood association. So thank you for that feedback, Gladys. I did want to comment, though, that as we move forward with this project, if the owner can communicate back with them and let them discuss with city council. Once again, I don't think it's a need to delay it here in zoning commission because you have a lot of support letters already. There is opposition to this case and they made their points known. Also, we got the feedback from the staff warning about the buffer between neighborhoods and hotels and how a lot of time those two type of businesses don't necessarily coincide. But we do see how close you are to the highway. We do see how close you are to the stockyard. So there is a other group that will benefit from this type of development. So I am in support of moving this forward to city council with that understanding that if your team can communicate with the, and hear the perspective of how this impacts the neighborhood association involved. And if that neighborhood association would like to communicate with their city council member and make their opinions known at city council, I think that will be an appropriate time to address those issues. Commissioners, do y'all have any more comments on this case?
Hopefully it'll make the drover cheaper. It was $1,200 last weekend, so add some competition is always nice.
Competition
I don't know
drives
that
prices.
a Hampton Inn is going to be competing with the.
Well, at this time, would someone like to make a motion on this case?
In the case of ZC 24-015, I move approval.
Second.
There's a motion for approval from Commissioner Raines with a second from Commissioner Werman. Let's move to a vote.
Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Raines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Yay, approve.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Yay.
Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Nay.
With a vote of 8-2, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. All right, next case, CC 24016. The address is 2801 Moresby. The applicant is FW Mason Heights LP. And the request is from PD 915B, PDC, Plan Development for Medium Density Multifamily Uses with Development Standards on File in the Planning and Development Department, site plan required, to PD 916, PDD, Plan Development for High Density Multifamily with Development Standards, site plan required.
Is the applicant here to speak on this case?
I'm online. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jordan. Welcome to the Zoning Commission.
Afternoon, guys. Jordan Marlia with Hoot Zollers, acting on behalf of the owner and developer for the application. I did want to confirm with the request going to PD 916, the site plan was included. The docket packet says that it was included, so I just wanted to
That's
confirm.
correct.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, just a simple paperwork exercise. We went through PDC with the city a few months back, and the request to consolidate the zoning from one to the other. As you guys can see on the site plan before you, this brings in line an additional 100 affordable apartments to the third phase of this development. And it's well below the maximum density requirement for this development. I'm just here to answer questions you guys may have from the engineering side of things, and I also believe the developer is online as well, remote. If you guys have any questions in regards to the programming for this phase, in regards to the zone change.
Is this part of the Renaissance Heights revitalization plan?
I believe so. There has been some confusion with another project going on to the south, but I believe so. I could have the developer attest to that and confirm that.
Thank you. Commissioner Leggett, do you have any questions for the applicant?
That's a good question. I'd like to hear the answer to your question.
There's no other speakers on this case. Jordan, did you say there's a developer who would like to?
Yeah, Robert Barfield should be on the line with Columbia Residential.
There's nobody by that name on the panel.
There isn't.
Nobody's on the line.
All right.
I just made that assumption because what we're looking at right now shows Renaissance Heights Phase 1 and Phase 2, and we do know the. Okay, it does say Renaissance Heights Phase 3.
It does.
It says on our documentation, it's part of Phase 3 of the Renaissance Heights revitalization plan. Teaser, like, do you have any more questions?
No. So this, for clarification, this has already been approved, so we're just modifying it. Is that correct?
It's just a simple zone change.
This is a change. Okay.
Yeah,
We're just moving lines for the most part.
exactly.
It's a cleanup.
Okay.
So
No problem.
would you like to make a motion?
I would, if I can see the number one more time, please. The case number, please.
Here you go.
Thank you. So for the in the case of ZC 24016, I move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Leggett with a second from Commissioner McDonald.
Let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the Zoning Commission recommends approval for this case. All right, next case, CC 24018. The address is 4500, 4600 Angle Avenue, 2500 Northwest Loop, A20, 4400 and 4533 Marine Creek Parkway. Applicant Jonathan Russell. Request is from G Intensive Commercial and J Medium Industrial to G Intensive Commercial and PDJ Plan Development for all uses in J Medium Industrial, removing certain uses, site plan required.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Mitchum. Jonathan Russell's here as well to speak if needed. I was going to speak on behalf of the buyer, the development group, Creation Equity. I think I said my name, but I'm Taylor Mitchum. I'm at 1280 East Levy Street. I think this is our presentation that we submitted. So I'm going to flip through some of this. Again, I'm with Creation Equity. We're a development firm. We've done a couple projects in the city of Fort Worth now. This would be our third. We have a sister company called LG Design Build, which is our in-house architecture and construction firm. So we really are a one-stop shop, design and construct everything in-house. Because of that, we take a lot of pride in what we design and what we build. Jonathan Russell's here with Manhart Consulting, our civil engineering partner on the project. This is a quick overview of the property. It's right here at 820 Marine Creek. We can look at another aerial here in a second as well, but it's approximately 40 acres, currently split zone between medium industrial on the south and then general commercial on the north. It's a mixture of zonings around the property. We can get into all that in detail. I'm going to skip it for now. I'm happy to answer questions on adjacent zonings. What we are proposing is a planned development with an underlying medium industrial zoning, which is the existing zoning, and then leave the G zoning as is on the north side. We are really just proposing to move the medium industrial line a little bit further north, and then keep that G zoning. The reason for the PD is we met with the Northwest Fort Worth Neighborhood Alliance. This was their request, just to make sure that that zoning and that site plan stayed as is. This was a request of Councilman Flores, who we also met, who had positive feedback and wanted us to meet with the neighborhood. So what we're going to put on the property is 3 Class A high-end logistics buildings, approximately 440,000 feet. We will include a list of development standards, and then we will leave retail pads up on the north side, which the Neighborhood Alliance is actually really excited about. It's a dry area for food and restaurants and commercial, so they're pretty excited about that portion and supportive of the industrial because of it. This is an aerial of the site. This is just east of Jacksboro Highway, west of 35, near Meacham Airport, TCC campus across the street, Quick Trip, some other retail, heavier industrial back to the south side. This is just a quick exhibit of the line. The existing line is there in the middle. It's called current zoning G, current zoning J. We're just proposing to push that line up a little bit. This is with the buildings laid out, so you can see where that line is. There's a large gas pad back in the kind of south side. There's an Angle Avenue that's a dedicated right-of-way with the city of Fort Worth. So those are kind of our natural boundaries that we're working around, the Angle Avenue, gas pad, and then leaving, an adequate amount of retail on the north side of the property along 820. And then this is the color site plan. We always try to kind of focus the loading and any sort of truck traffic within the interior of the property away from, the outside streets, and circling it around that gas pad kind of keeps those uses interior and away from any other adjacent uses, regardless of what they are. This was the letter of support from the Northwest Fort Worth Neighborhood Alliance. There's a quick note in here. Everybody can read this on your own time, I think, but about keeping it as the PD. Yeah, supporting it as a PD. We are very excited about the continued communication, and they've been great to work with. These are some renderings of the property, of the project itself. Again, we take a really high-end design. We have a lot of pride in what we develop. We think we get higher-end tenants because of it. We keep a high-end ownership. We partner with large owners, like our other project was JP Morgan. We've got partners with Prudential and
Final statements.
And that's really it. I think the takeaways here are 2-story glass. Lost it. 2-story glass, a lot of glass along the remainder of the building, canopies, contrasting colors. This really doesn't look like your typical industrial. It's meant to look very nice and attract a higher-end tenant and appease, the neighbors. Middle entry. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you. You said that you currently don't have a tenant.
No, these would be speculative buildings, which is pretty typical for this product type right now.
Okay.
Build it and then they lease after, or sometimes during the construction process.
Right. I appreciate the outreach you did with the neighborhood association. You got their support, and also adjusting your plans to keep some of the commercial pads located on the north of the development, because it is a area that has a QT and not much else on that particular corridor. But it is developing, and I think that will provide some great jobs in the future when you find a tenant to the apartment complexes across the street or across the highway from that area. This does fall in District 2, so I'm not able to make a motion on this. But I do agree with the staff in thinking this is compatible and consistent and getting the support from the neighborhood. It looks like the neighborhood supports that as well. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions for the applicant? At this time, is there a commissioner who would like to make a motion on this case?
I'll make a motion. On the case ZC 24018, I motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion for approval from Commissioner Williams with a second for Commissioner McDonald.
All right, let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
With a vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case. Next case, CC 24020. The address is 4903 Pollard Avenue and 1401 Edda Street. The applicant is FW Hughes House to GPL Brandon Burns. Request is from PD 1260 PDUR with development standards for height, street-oriented entry, and building frontage as depicted on the site plan to amend PDUR to allow a 35-foot maximum street setback along Avenue G, site plan included.
Made it.
You probably don't know me, but I have a good track record of being the last case. So I'll be really brief. My name is Brandon Burns. I'm with Bennett Partners. I'm representing the owner for this application. What we are trying to do is get a waiver for the maximum setback along Avenue G only. You see this highlighted in green here. This is part of the Stop 6 CNI project that is redeveloping the Cavill Place project. Hughes House 1 is under construction. It's that building A and B that you see. Cowan Place, which was the senior living component of this, is on the other side of what is now the historic Stop 6 Park, not Rosedale Plaza any further. So this was a design move while we were looking at all the phases that are coming of this project, along with the community building that's going to happen. It's called the Hub at the east end of this phase. In the connection to the park, we were trying to get a way to have more of an amenity, encourage people to walk, and not, I know it's Texas, I know you'll drive a block to get somewhere, but we're trying to get people out of the car, or if you're gonna walk from building A over to the Hub, have a nice park to walk through as you come through. We tried it at the 20-foot maximum setback. It still felt a little tight. It didn't feel like an amenity, it just felt like a large setback. But with this, I think I have a rendering or two. This is an idea of what it would look like along Avenue G. This will give us enough room to give some enhanced landscaping, some areas to sit, not just have a straight 4 or 5 foot wide sidewalk that runs down Avenue G. So that's the request for the waiver. This is a PD. It's based off of UF and MU2, if I remember correctly. So we're trying to keep with that spirit of the zoning. We just need a little more room to do it sometimes. So I'm here to answer any kind of questions you might have.
Thank you. Commissioner McDonald, you have any questions about this case?
I don't. It seems fairly straightforward.
Commissioners, anyone would like to make any comments on this case? All right, Commissioner McDonald, would you like to make a motion?
Just a second. I dropped my paperwork. Sorry, this is the last page. Yeah, so in the matter of ZC-24-020, I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner McDonald with a second from Commissioner Werman.
Let's vote. Chairperson Rankin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Welch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McCoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Rains, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Leggett, how do you vote? Commissioner Hoblet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Werman, how do you vote?
Yay.
And Commissioner Romero, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vote of 10-0, the zoning commission recommends approval for this case.
Attending today's zoning commission, time is 3:43, and I call the meeting adjourned.